welcome to another edition of Eluminate. And on today's Conspiracy Realist, drum roll please. No, it's not Tony J, and I said Conspiracy Realist, so I have a dear lady coming to hang out for a little bit to talk about her son, who is in the hospital still currently fighting COVID-19. We're gonna hear a story about a young man and a mother who has continually used her voice to get answers as well as results. Your voice is your most powerful tool. Use it wisely. You hold the key to your release.
23-year-old, and he's still there. They're saying maybe tomorrow. They're going to turn his oxygen down one more time. Last time they turned it down to 7 liters and he was fine. They said he may come home with oxygen, but normally they like you at 6 liters, nothing higher. That's what they're telling me. So hopefully by tomorrow, that's where he'll be sustaining a good saturation level, so he can come home.
All right, Leigh. First off, I want to say thank you for coming on Eluminate and hanging out with us today. And how about you just go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself and your family?
Single mom. Have a girlfriend who also has COVID. My oldest is 23. He's the one that is in the hospital currently. My daughter, who's 20, also has COVID at the time with myself and my girlfriend. Then my youngest, he just started high school. Just average American family. Not a whole lot to brag about or complain about. We do just fine. We still have those Southern beliefs for the most part.
Right.
Believe in our freedoms, our freedom to choose, and a freedom to gain knowledge on anything that's in front of us to make a wise choice. I don't believe that we've been handed that. Even if they did at this point, then who's going to believe it? How do you know?
I can relate to that sentiment for sure. So, from what I've gathered, you said everyone in your household and immediate family has been touched with COVID since this began.
Yes, and I have to say it's not just COVID. It's the difference in family and the way they view it.
True.
Whether they've drank the Kool-Aid or not. It's a lot bigger than that. And when it can cause rifts in families, people are passionate about what they believe. If you let that affect your family, you are passionate about what you believe. And I can tell you that's a whole nother story, but we could do that one too.
Well, yeah, but you're correct. Family ties, family beliefs, all of those things, and then personal ones play a huge role. And they have played on that to the highest right now. And it's quite sad, actually.
Well, they're playing on fear.
Yeah.
Yes, we got sick. Yes, was my son, my oldest, sicker than the rest of us? Yes, he was. I hated it when we made the call to take him to the hospital, but have a pulse oximeter, have a blood pressure monitor. He had his meds and all that, and so we made an educated decision on when. Okay, it's time. We can't do this at home. It just blows my mind, the fear that they use. Now, has that scared me into getting the vaccine? No.
Interesting.
But people that I know that were anti-vax, I thought the same as I did. It scared them. They ran out and got the vaccine.
Really? Well, and it doesn't.
So their fear tactics are working.
It does, because I've watched that with a few of my really close friends that I know how they felt, because it's been a discussion, not blatant, but it's happened to come around in our years of knowing each other, and especially around school time, because all of my friends have children. So, it becomes a huge conversation piece, but I watch them be like, all right, I'll go take it. And I'm like, but you still have reservations. Are you sure you're settled in that decision? Well, no,
Yep.
but I mean, it beats the alternative. Do we know the full alternative? Is I try to ask these questions lightly, but it's a lot harsher than that. There's an alternative
Mm-hmm.
to everything, but this alternative, in my opinion, is highly unknown. It's too risky for myself. I don't care
Yep.
what tactic they use, how many people close to me get COVID. I personally can't. I can't. No, the risk does not outweigh the reward for me, or the reward doesn't outweigh the risk. But before we go too much further, let's back up a little bit. So your 23-year-old is the one who is hospitalized and still currently in the hospital. Now, how many days has he been in the hospital since being diagnosed?
He got diagnosed. He first started feeling bad July 30th. He went and got tested. They sent him home with a positive test. Um, got him all the vitamins, zinc, C, D, everything to help boost his immune system. Um, all the things he needed.
Okay.
Well, as it progressed, I believe it was the second, the third, it was the third, when we decided, okay, it's time to go to the hospital. So he went on the third, still there today. Um, at first, you're just kind of listening to what they're telling you. Of course, if you're not calling and asking questions, you're not getting told anything. And
Really?
besides that, my son's 23. He's a grown man.
They're not going to call you first, anyways.
Well, I tell you what, they've called me every day since we had a nice conversation. The doctor has called me every evening. The nurses call me every day. And
so, what were they doing or not doing when he first got there? Like, how was the air around treating COVID?
it seemed like to me they were just waiting on a reason to stick you in ICU. When I started asking questions, because I found out from my son, who you could barely hear, they had the BiPAP, forced air oxygen on him. You could barely hear him talking. He was scared to death and saying they were going to put him in ICU. I was like, oh, no, no. I got this, Tommy. I said, I got this. I'll call you back. And I called and I had it out with several people. I asked to speak to someone on the hospital board. That was the call that I was waiting for. And instead, I got a call from a doctor, and then I got a call from a nurse. And I'm not blaming any one person. I'm blaming that the protocol that has been set for them to follow, and that they can lose their license if they do anything other than that. My question was, what have you done to keep my son out of the ICU? The only reason why you would want to put him in the ICU is so you can start that ventilator. We ain't going there yet. We're not doing that. What have you done? I said, I argued and argued, and I could not get a straight answer. And I know this for a fact. I have an aunt whose dad was diagnosed with COVID. They treated him at home. He was on nebulizer breathing treatments. They told him to do it every 4 hours for 2 weeks, whether he felt like he needed it or not. A nebulizer.
Yeah.
If you've had a kid with asthma or a family member with asthma, it's not the same as that. And if you can't if you can't breathe, how deep is that going?
It's not.
It's not. That's why you use the nebulizer.
Right. It's forced.
I wanted to know why is my son not receiving nebulizer breathing treatments?
Mm-hmm.
Why is there not respiratory therapy coming around? Found out that basically they were doing nothing nutrition wise. I mean, you can't eat with all that going on. So I'm telling you, nothing. You're just there. I mean,
so
yeah,
you just hanging out in an overpriced hotel room with nurses.
Yeah, pretty much. And I mean, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a nurse, but I ain't no dummy either. And I am a mother, and I believe I have a pretty good instinct as a mother.
Well, I would say so. You've raised 3 looks like beautiful, happy, healthy children. By the way, you have a beautiful family.
Thank you so much. Nothing was, I wasn't getting answers. The only thing they would tell me about the nebulizer breathing treatments was that it spreads COVID. I was like, and what part of that statement do you think I care about right now? I have COVID. My daughter has COVID. My girlfriend has COVID. You have my son in the hospital with COVID.
How much further could it spread?
I told him, I said, you know what? I don't care what you got to do. Hand it to him. He's a grown ass man. He can hold it. Go outside, shove a wet towel underneath the door like the pipe smokers. I don't give a flip. Do what you got to do. But you're supposed to be trying life-saving measures on my son, and I don't see where you've done any of it. And I said, what I want my son to have the HCQ, ivermectin. I want him to have it. We can't give him that. Why? Why wouldn't you try that? We know ventilator's pretty much a death sentence. I want you to try it. That's what I want my son to have. Oh no, can't do it, can't do it. I said, can you give me one reason why it would be bad for my son to have it? Give me one reason why it would be bad to at least see if it works. Crickets. They can't give a reason. No reasoning. None whatsoever. And I mean, look, I told him, I said, I've already talked to him. You need to go in his room. He's ready to sign over power of attorney to me to make his medical decisions and blah, blah, blah. And they're like, you can't do that.
Yes,
you can't do that. I said, I will have him transferred. You can't do that either. I said, well, I will come drag his ass out of there and take him somewhere. I've got friends with money. You don't think I can't have a helicopter pull up? They'll have some oxygen. We can go somewhere. And they were, they're like, well, you can be arrested for domestic terrorism if you show up here and all that. And I said, well, it's gonna be hard to arrest me when my family and my friends show up to come get his ass out of there.
Yeah, they better bring a paddy wagon. Let me ask you this. Before they put these protocols in place, is it just me, or didn't doctors have to take a Hippocratic oath to protect and preserve life at all costs?
That's what I was getting at.
That's what I thought, I thought that's where you were going with it too. I just wanted to clarify that you and I were on the same page because
I wanted them to prove to me that that's what they were doing,
and they weren't.
Protocol. I said, all right, who writes the protocol? Where does this come from? Oh, this comes from the board. Are these medical people? Are these doctors on the board? No. All right, where are they getting their information? Where are they getting it? It's coming from somewhere.
Yep.
We all know where it's coming from.
We do.
The same place all these other lives are coming from.
Yep.
And not only that, they're threatening jobs, careers, and who knows what they're threatening, really.
Careers. And people are scared if they think their career is ruined.
I can tell you right now, I've never had a job that I loved enough that I couldn't live without. And I can tell you one thing, I've got that mama bear inside of me. I will step in front of a train, a bullet, whatever it takes. And if it means going down in flames over some bullshit like this to tell it, hey, somebody better start lighting a match because I ain't going to shut up.
And, as you shouldn't. Because think about this. Think about the people who don't have parents like you that are afraid to ask doctors questions because they
don't even know to ask. I learned this years ago when my grandparents would be in the hospital, when my mother was in the hospital. I was always told, if you got someone you love in the hospital, you don't ever leave them alone. Every time somebody walks in a room to put something in their mouth in their IV, you ask what it is.
Yep.
Why?
Yep.
Why? That's different. They weren't getting that. Why? You ask the questions. And you'll be surprised. And it could be just simple mistakes. But a simple mistake in the medical field can be disastrous.
Yeah, and deadly.
Yeah. And you can't, if it had been my youngest son, I could have been in there with him. But yeah, it didn't matter what I said. They were going to fight back. And when I started asking questions about, what are y'all doing for his nutrition and is he doing any kind of breathing exercises and all that? I had my son doing that. I told him, this is what you need to be doing, Tommy. This is what you need to be doing. Knowing he didn't feel like it. or anything. And I was like, promise me, Tommy, you're going to do these. As far as I know, he did. The nurse actually told me yesterday that he has continued doing his breathing exercises
Good.
and all that. But I'm telling you, they wanted to put him in ICU. 2 days later, they're coming down on the oxygen, coming down, not adding to it. But they started giving him zinc, vitamin D, vitamin C. Nutrition came around. I said,
Oh,
hey,
look at that.
if he can't eat, can he at least get Ensure? Can he drink some Ensure? Physical therapy started coming. Occupational therapy started coming. I mean, hey, he went from one day, they want to stick him in ICU, to 2 days later, already turning down the oxygen.
And it's all because you used your voice as an advocate when he couldn't do it for himself. So let me ask you this. Have they used quercetin on him?
No.
No? Is quercetin
No.
something that you guys have looked into or heard about or anything like that?
No, actually, I think there was, is that the one?
It's the one that
brand new.
it's, well, it is, but actually it's in like a lot of our foods and plants. Like it's in St. John's wort plant as well as buckwheat tea and green tea, red wine, onions. But quercetin on its own is like, it's like a gatekeeper. So, you know, kind of like when they tell you put hot water on your pores to open them, that's basically what quercetin does. It opens everything up so that the D, the C, the zinc, and all that can fully absorb. It acts as like it's a conduit for it, I was to say.
Right.
But that's interesting. They started giving him
things.
vitamin D, though. I find that very interesting.
Oh, yeah, because I asked for it. I asked for it. It's the least they could do. They couldn't try anything else. Of course, you know, he had COVID pneumonia. All right. What does COVID do to your lungs?
It scars
without
them
pneumonia. Without pneumonia. So if you have pneumonia and you're still not getting breathing treatments to help open you up to breathe, if you're still in there and you're that sick, wouldn't you think it'd be pneumonia, some high-powered antibiotics? Because if not, ain't you getting some pus and junk in your lungs? And then you got that high volume oxygen going in. What are you turning it to a crust or what? I don't see where any of that made it easier for him to breathe.
No, it just, in my opinion, added to the problem. But I'm not a doctor, so.
Well, I'm not either, but we obviously have some common sense.
Yeah, because some things, even science, come down to common sense, usually. But that, again, in my opinion. So, July 30th diagnosed, August 2nd went into the hospital, and now we are at August 15th, 14th, 15th. Okay, 15th. So where are we? They've turned the oxygen down. They've been given vitamins, things like that. Where are we sitting as of today? Have you talked to the doctors today?
Not yet. They usually call me late in the evening to give me an update. And something else that just drives me insane. I talk to the nurses every day. They're always telling me, Tommy has improved. He had a great day. He looks good. Then the doctor calls me, and I don't really know why the doctor's calling me. You know,
doing that to
call and request them. They're trying to keep the psycho from showing up, I guess.
Yeah, they're trying to appease you.
Then it's a whole different vibe. Like, you know, Tommy, we were able to turn his oxygen down, you know, but you know, he's not out of the woods yet. And it's always just like, okay, so every time I talk to you, you expect right around the corner, we're going to take that dip. It's going to be terrible. I mean, I don't know. I hear from the nurses and they're bragging on him. So every time she would have that attitude, I was like, well, that's not the way they're telling it. Why is there a difference in the actual doctor and the nurses that are with him all day? Are you even checking up on anything? Or are you just appeasing me or whatever? I mean, I don't know. Why is this inconsistent? Because like I talked to the nurse 2 hours ago. He had a great day. At this point, I believe the nurses before I believe the doctor. And God forbid I wouldn't use any of their names. but she sounds like a 19-year-old college student, like totes. For real.
I believe it. And I have found, because I have a lot of friends who are nurses, and I've gotten to spend time having to be people's advocate, in the family when they've had to go in the hospital. And I have found doctors, I don't care how cool they are, when they talk to the family, they are always the most humdrum, have you sitting there like on pins and needles with the way that they present the information. The nurse will come tell you the same thing. It'll be a completely different presentation. I think it's become a stereotype that they all live out, or a majority of them live out, because I've never liked getting reports from doctors, because they'll tell you it's a great day, but by the end of the conversation, you think, man, should we just go put a pillow over their face? Like, you know what I mean? That's how they make you feel, the way that they present it.
Absolutely.
So, nurses are cooler because, one, they're in it every day, but they're also, I have noticed nurses are not going to lie. They have enough stuff they have to combat, because they're usually doing the job of 7 people, and let's not count COVID. So now they're doing the job of 12 to 24 people while still being the manager for their doctor, who reads notes 9 times out of 10 more than he actually is present. And again, I'm not there, but unfortunately that has been what I have seen happen with my own 2 eyes. And I'm praying that's not the case here with you, but I am happy to hear that he is improving. Are they still talking ICU, or now they're just like, no, we're just going to see where this goes?
That completely went away after I lost my shit. Yeah, there was never another word about ICU.
Now that is ironic. That is very ironic.
Not a Miss Miller, he's going to need that. Or Miss Miller, if we don't put him in ICU, none of that. Like literally, end of discussion.
So you flipped your lid, and they just was like, okay.
I flipped my lid. I want answers. Give me reasons. That's what you have to make me understand the choices that you're making, because I don't.
Right.
That's what your job is right now. Make me understand. Because my son is scared, and he's texting and he's calling trying to talk to me. So you're going to have to make me understand. And obviously they couldn't, so maybe they just come around to my understanding.
Well, that, or they're like, well, this is a battle we can't win, so just go with it.
Yeah, and I mean, different ones say, well, they get more money per patient if they can put them in ICU.
Well,
they get more money per patient if they can put them on a ventilator. They get more money if somebody dies.
They do. And I do know that for a fact. Like, I have actual verification of that. I have verification of that happening in a nursing home back home where I'm from. And they had people that already, they had called the family in, like hospice should have came to take them, but COVID happened. So they already were in hospice care getting ready to pass. They passed. Not one of them had a test done on them, but every one of their death docs reads COVID-19.
Oh, of course.
And they got money for it.
And the other thing that drove me nuts is the doctor's like, with this Delta variant. And I said, oh, y'all tested him for that? And then it was, well, we can if you would like. I said, I really don't think that's necessary, but I don't appreciate you calling it a Delta variant when you don't know.
How are they going to test for the Delta variant?
Exactly. End of discussion. End of discussion again.
I almost wish you'd have asked him to test, because I really want to see that test. No one's been able to find one.
Yeah, well, they've told me, well, we have to send it off to a lab. Okay, well, did you? No. Don't call it Delta. Right now, they just don't know how hard it was for me not to get in my truck and go down there and cause the biggest bunch of bullshit that I could. I was prepared to go to jail, whatever. I don't care, but that's my son, and you're not going to sit there and kill him. I'm not going to let you.
Man, and I don't blame you. I am happy that your son has an advocate and mother like you in his corner, because so many do not. And Thank you, Miss Miller. Thank you.
Thank you.
I listen. I know it's not easy, and I can only imagine the mental anguish that this has put up on you and the rest of your family. Having a loved one in the hospital is never fun, and especially now you can't go. It's not like you can just pop in. So I can only imagine the amount of stress that is laid upon you guys right now, mentally, physically, and emotionally. So just know that you guys are in my thoughts and prayers with all of that. But before we go any further, what piece of advice, huge piece of advice, if you had any, would you give to the people out there that are going through this right now, or have family members going through this right now?
Be demanding. Know what their treatment is. You can call and ask, what are you doing for my loved one? What medications are they getting? What's being done? If you don't like what's being done, speak your mind, request, demand. Call every day, every morning, every evening. Get updates. Do some homework. You know, we obviously believe in doing your homework. Reading.
Yes, ma'am.
Find out all you can. Now, you can eventually find something to say, what you want it to say, what you want it to be. Just depends on what direction you go in. What you're already set to accept. There's a reason. But people need to think about it. They need to think real hard. Are they doing enough research? Do you really know? And if it's so hard to find the answers, why? Why is it being made so hard to find the truth? To find the truth. And there are people out there that know the truth. There are people out there that you can talk to. Reach out, doctors included. Just don't go to the hospital to talk to them. Go to your local hillbilly GP. So, you know, somebody's going to shoot straight with you and not dismiss you. But do some research. Find out. If they tell you something, start digging into it. I don't care who it's coming from. Look it up. This is what they said. Let me find out a little bit more about that. That's the only thing people can do is stay educated.
All right. So let me ask you this question. Since your whole family has had COVID, how did it affect you? How did you feel?
Woke up one morning on the 7th. It was on the 7th. Woke up, dizzy, headache, just felt terrible. Come to find out, my daughter felt the same way on the same day.
Oh, wow.
I was like, oh, crap. So I was like, oh, maybe we should go get tested. We went to get tested. They were already shut down for the evening. So we went the next morning and we got tested. Yep, positive. My girlfriend was in denial. She didn't get tested till the day after because we all woke up feeling the same way on the same
day. But she was not accepting her fate yet.
No. She was in denial.
Okay, it happened.
But so she got tested somewhere else. Me and my daughter were sent home with nothing but a piece of paper that said we had COVID. Not a recommendation for taking anything, not a prescription for anything, nothing. I have a prescription for ivermectin at my local pharmacy I can go pick up right now. Yesterday, I wanted to get it. I felt so bad yesterday.
Oh.
But I'm like, no, I'm going to save it because I know I'm not dying. I just feel terrible. But there are places that you can get it. I didn't even have to leave my home.
Really?
Yes, absolutely.
Good.
I'll send you a screenshot of that later. But
okay, good.
Yeah, I think everybody should at least have something on standby. When I threatened to bring my son medication to the hospital, they're like, "You can't do that." I'm like, "Hell, I can't."
Actually,
I said, he's got a bag full of medication right now that he was taking before he left. They said, no, they would have sent that to the pharmacy. I said, you a lie. I said, I guarantee you it's in his room, in his backpack. Still, right now.
Yep.
course, that was the end of that conversation too. I don't know. They just didn't want to talk to me when I would point things out. But
Well, Leigh, what is that they say? What else can be said when? I mean, how do you combat
I don't
facts?
know.
I mean, you asked a
I don't
question.
know.
They couldn't answer
I'm not
it.
rich, and I don't have money to throw away buying bullshit.
Ooh, I like it. I like it. So, how did your girlfriend feel during?
The same.
The same.
We've had chills, fever. I thought times I was just going to freeze to death.
Oh.
Under covers, these very ugly fuzzy socks, hoodie, you name it.
Yeah, just strapped up. He's like, I'm in.
And then go to sweating freaking gallons. And yeah, I've been doing that today. I feel better today, but I'm not well. The last time I took my temp, I was still running a temp. So I don't know how much longer this is going to rock on. My daughter's had a little bit more of the nausea and stuff like that with it. But for the most part, it's like the flu. You just feel freaking terrible.
So let me ask you this: with everyone in your family being touched by it, one of your children still in the hospital right now with it. How did you feel when we got locked down? Without question. What was your sentiment there? Before I go into the question I was going to get to.
I thought it was crazy because I was never locked down. Work kept going, the world kept turning, and I think COVID went through my work before I actually heard what COVID was. We had so many people calling in sick and calling it sounding terrible, and I'm like, dude, did you go to the doctor? Yeah. You have pneumonia? No, they said I didn't have pneumonia. I said, well, you need to go again. And struggling to call in to be like, look, I'm not going to be there today. And I told them, I said, look, hold on. I said, don't call me anymore. I'm going to put you down as a call in until you feel better. You can come into work because you can't breathe.
Yeah.
You can't breathe. And
what is it you do again for a living?
Business manager for a staffing company.
So yeah.
So we have people
in and out.
Then I was office manager for a construction company. I've swapped jobs since then.
So yeah, you can't.
The same thing.
You can't be on the job.
All these people.
You have to be able to breathe. Yeah. So I'm with you there. I know all of my clientele that came through from December up until they announced it and we all knew had it. I had one woman for 6 weeks. She's like, they're treating me for pneumonia, but it's not pneumonia. And the last time I saw her, she's like, and I'm like, you need to go somewhere. Like, that's not cool. She's like, Erica, I know. She said, but I can't, because she was in the midst of being the caregiver for her father and mother, So, but yeah, I'm with you there. Okay, so you thought it was bullshit, because I thought the lockdown was bullshit too. So, now with having COVID come through your family, put one of you in the hospital, do you still feel like the lockdown was bullshit?
Yeah.
I just wonder, because it does change some people's minds.
think it's all bullshit. I think it's all bullshit. All of it. Like, it's strictly for fear. It's strictly for fear. Now, granted, whatever this is, it is definitely a sickness. I would expect that some would do worse than others, just their physical condition or maybe underlying things going on with them. I mean, look, have they shut down the freaking world over any other sickness? Anything?
Well, let's be real, Leigh. Did they really shut the world down? Because, I mean...
No.
Tacoville.
My God, yes.
Those things were essential. Walmart, Lowe's. The world wasn't shut down. They picked and chose what was going to be open, what was going to be closed.
No, they were killing the little guy.
Yeah. Mom and Pop was closed out of fear. But you go 2 more blocks, heck, you couldn't even drive through because Wendy's and McDonald's had the road jammed up with the drive-through line. So, no, we didn't even close down then. That's why I called it bullshit from jump. I was like, the jobs y'all calling essential are not essential. And somebody was like, well, you have to eat. I said, but I just saw all of y'all at the grocery store. I was like, so why are any of you all at McDonald's? Technically, McDonald's isn't essential because You just dropped $300. I watched you. It's just like,
Yeah.
And I'm thinking to myself and watching people, you're doing these crazy things and not asking any questions. And even when you do ask a question, it's giving you nothing but another question. It didn't answer anything, yet you're content with, well, I'll just sit at home. I wanted to know how you felt about it on the flip side because, kind of like the vaccine. Once it happens, it's cool till it hits you at home, a lot of situations. And I know sometimes it'll change people's outlooks. So that's why I was very interested to see how you felt about the bullshit lockdown on the flip side, which I kind of thought that might be your take.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that I consider bullshit. And, until we come up with a better way to communicate besides social media, where everybody can turn that shit off, let them not make a daggone dime. Turn it off. Don't just pause it. Get freaking rid of it.
Turn it off.
Let them wonder what we're thinking then. Let them wonder. They would have less control. We would be getting bombarded by less bullshit.
Yeah.
Let this crap be real.
Amen.
I don't like the fake. I don't like the fake.
And right now,
if you can't tell, I've pretty much been, I tell everybody, hey, look, I was born like this. I've been this way for 49 years. I don't think I'm going to change. And if I say something that hurts your feelings, well, you probably should have given me the reason to say it.
Amen. You and I are built a lot alike there, Leigh. A lot.
Absolutely.
Yep. So I understand that to the core. Well, Leigh, thank you so much for coming and sharing your story with us. And hopefully you taking the time to talk about some real shit that's going on will open up the doorway for other people to start talking about some things that they're actually in and witnessing. Because I honestly...
Hey, if somebody's had a loved one that has passed already in the hospital, you know what? Do your homework. When the lawsuits start coming, you're going to have one. Do your homework. Have your records. It's all going to come to light sooner or later.
I agree with you there, hon. Well, I want you to go rest because I know that's straining on the lungs and things. So I want you to enjoy the rest of your beautiful afternoon and tell your son, pulling for him, you keep those doctors on their toes. Keep doing it.
No problem. I will light that torch at their feet every time I think I need to.
I love it. All right, sis. Well,
thank you for taking the time to hang out here on buymeacoffee.com with myself. And again, thank you, Leigh Miller, for coming and hanging out and sharing your story and hopefully giving you all some encouragement and notes. Think about that. How many people, because they couldn't have someone present and the person just didn't use all their tools that they had at their disposal to get answers? How many people have senselessly died and was stuck in ICU for no reason? You are your own advocate. You are your biggest advocate. And if you can't be, make sure that there is someone there that you trust with your whole heart that can do it as well, in case you can't be your advocate. Everyone needs to be held accountable. Everyone needs to be checked in on from time to time, including our healthcare professionals. And thank you, healthcare professionals that are doing your job. Some of you, though, still need to step it up.